Hey guys, want to welcome everyone back. But if you're here for the first time, welcome to the channel. Hopefully you like the content that I put out. If you've been watching these videos for a while and you haven't, consider subscribing to the channel. That way you get notified when I drop the next one. Any comments below are greatly appreciated. All the thumbs up are appreciated. And also hit the bell notification if you do subscribe. That way you're notified when I drop the next one. Sorry, I'm not going to have any animals in this video. Dippin' Dots is good, and she's kind of getting bullied by Mom, but I just have Mom, Firecracker, and her running together. Just been super busy with work. I'll try and get some footage of them and include it on the next video. So let's get into this. I keep hearing grumblings of food shortages and all this stuff. And so generally what I do is I go to the grocery store and I just grab a couple things. I normally will grab stuff on my way home from work. But I was like, you know what, I'm gonna walk around and see what's going on. And now this area I'm starting to actually see affected by the shortages that are coming. All right, so yesterday I ended up going to in HEB, which that's a local grocery store here. Chain. It's probably the most popular in this area. Their prices are probably the best. And then I also went to a local Walmart, and yes, there are shortages. I went down a number of aisles. A lot of the frozen foods, you could see that there was items missing. There were complete gaps where complete shelves were empty. So I went and recorded that. And I'm going to go ahead and include that on this video if you want to see that. But there are supply shortages and supply chain disruptions having to do with these shipping containers and shortage of truck drivers and stuff like that. So it's starting to become more prevalent. And you know, I live in a small community, and at first we didn't seem to be really affected by it, but I'm seeing it now. And another thing that I'm noticing too is on the shelves, even if they do have an item, everything's pushed to the front, and you look in the back behind and there's nothing back there. So I know Jeremiah Babe has talked about this on his channel. If you don't watch Jeremiah Babe or follow him, I'd greatly recommend you to. Really smart guy, good friend of mine. I've been on a number of his episodes when he came to Texas. I know not everyone here follows him. I'm obviously getting subscribers that haven't heard of him. But Jeremiah Babe, go check out his channel. But he's been talking about how this stuff's going on as well. And then they're actually hiring professionals. I guess they're doing artwork or whatever that looks like, making these shelves look like they're full. I didn't see that where I went. But there's shortages, ladies and gentlemen, and so you need to be filling your pantry. Get the items that you need now. I saw, a lot of basic items that you would need if, the poo were to hit the fan. So flour, sugar, oil, these are things that you're going to want to have in your pantry. So if you need it, get it now. But I will include the video footage that I did get. But it is in fact going on. So comment below what you're seeing in your area. I know I talked about this a week or so ago, but guys, this is starting to get serious. And my thing is, nothing catastrophic has really even happened yet. Yes, there's inflation and, this health thing that's going on. And it's all the supply chain stuff that's going on as well. But there's no major catastrophic event that's going on. So just imagine if there is another winter storm like last year, if the power goes out, if there's, I guess we're almost out of hurricane season now. But we get a cyber attack or an EMP attack. Just imagine what it would be like, because the supply chains are already stressed as it is. So right now, inflation is growing at the fastest pace that it has in history, from what I understand. I don't think it's going to slow down. If anything, I think it's going to pick up. And I think that's another thing that's going on. I think people are starting to panic buy. if you want to call it that, because they see the prices going up and they're thinking, wow, I better buy this now, because if I wait another week or two, it's going to be even more expensive. So that could be also adding to the issue. So get your dried foods now. Order your freeze dried foods. Get all that stuff now while you can. I know there's shortages of that stuff going on too. This is something that I wanted to talk about. I hear this a lot, I guess, in this community, or if I talk to my friends and family, and what they'll say is, "Oh, well, if the poo hits the fan, I'm just gonna go hunt. I'm gonna go fish. I'm gonna go trap." Okay, all right. There's a lot more to that than, just I'm just gonna walk off in the woods with this thing right here, and I'm gonna go, stick me a hog, and I'm gonna bring it back on my shoulder, and we're gonna eat. No, it's more than that. Where are you gonna hunt? Me personally, obviously, I'll hunt my place, and I have access to other people's places around here if I'm gonna do that. But most people don't have that option, and so, they're like, "Oh, I'll just go off in the woods." Well, whose woods are you gonna hunt? You're not hunting my woods, I can tell you that, or I'll be hunting you. I'm gonna be protecting my livestock and all that. So you need to think logically, how does that really make sense? I know people do live around state land, but how many people are gonna be out there doing the exact same thing? So, and not only that, you're putting yourself at danger going out on someone's property, possibly getting shot, or getting into an altercation with someone else, putting yourself in the elements where you could get cuts and scrapes where you don't have, a lot of medical stuff. You could get these wounds infected. So it's just, you're putting yourself at risk to go do that, in my opinion. So what I'm getting at is, I would not rely on that. If that's a secondary thing, then cool. But I would not just sit there and say, well, I'm not going to prepare because I'm just going to go out and hunt. I don't care if you've been hunting for years and all this stuff. That's great. But I think you're putting yourself at odds by just having that as your only plan. Okay. So during the Great Depression, from what I understand, the deer population all but got wiped out. So if this were to happen again, and obviously there's a lot more population than was back then, I think the same thing would happen again. So, and these animals are smart. You might get some of the dumb ones in the beginning, but eventually those are going to get wiped out. And there's going to be a lot of waste, because what's going to happen is people are going to hunt these animals, and they're not going to have the ability to be able to preserve and consume every part of this animal. So there's going to be a lot of waste. So say there's a family of 5, a deer gets shot, how much of that deer are they actually going to be able to process before the rest goes bad because they don't have proper cooling or a way to preserve that animal? So I think there would be a lot of waste. I just don't think that is a smart plan. I think maybe that's a backup plan, but that if that's your main thing, is I'm just going to go out and hunt and fish and trap, if you're some super skilled outdoorsman, woodsman, hunter, fisher, then get after it. Kudos to you. I know I couldn't do that. I do know how to fish, and I do know how to hunt. I know how to clean those animals and all that, but I'm just not going to rely on that. So if you've never hunted, if you've never cleaned an animal, if you've never cleaned a fish, you need to start learning that stuff now, if that's part of your plan, because it's not as easy as you think. And then you got to think about, how are you going to preserve that meat? What if there's no electricity? Do you have the salts or the smokehouse or the ability to preserve, the parts of these animals that you're gonna get? Do you have enough ammo? So it's like, okay, cool. You're gonna go hunt, right? So do you have enough ammo to kill, say, a deer once a week? If you have 1 or 2 boxes of, your choice of ammo, if we don't know how long this thing's going to go on, so you need to have plenty of that if that's going to be part of your plan. Hey, do you have all the tools to clean this animal? Do you have a bone saw? Do you have knives? Do you have a way to maintain those tools? Can you sharpen them? Because these tools are going to wear out, they're going to break, they're going to get dull as you use them. So, and mom's butcher knife, inside the kitchen's not going to hack it. You need good tools to clean an animal. All right. Also, how are you going to clean this animal? If you've never cleaned an animal, you're going to get hair on the meat. You're going to get, there's going to be excess blood that you're going to have to wash out. So how are you going to clean the meat that you're processing? Also, when it comes to hunting, if you've never hunted before, it's not as easy. That's why they call it hunting and not killing. So like in Texas, we're able to hunt under feeders. Well, if the poo has hit the fan, more than likely I'm not going to be able to keep my deer feeder full. So I don't know that I possess the skills to be able to track and trace and set myself up to where I'm able to get a kill on an animal. So it's not as easy as, well, I'm just going to walk off in the woods and I'm going to take an animal. So just think about that stuff. Do you have night vision? I know in Texas, hogs are a big deal. They're everywhere. I don't want to say we're overrun with them, but we have a healthy hog population. But the thing is, hogs are not nocturnal animals for the most part. So either you're going to have to go breaking brush during the day and try and come onto them while they're asleep, or you're going to have to try and hunt them at night. So night vision, and I've talked about night vision in the past. Night vision, in my opinion, goes with security, which is the number one prep in my opinion. Okay. All right. The same thing goes with fishing. So say you're not going to hunt, or you're going to hunt and fish. Do you possess the skills to be able to fish? Remember, it's called fishing for a reason, not catching. Do you have a place to fish? You're not going to come fish my tank or my pond or whatever you want to call it. So are you going to go to a public lake and compete with everyone else? You don't think those resources are going to get depleted really quickly? Also, do you have extra tackle? We're used to the convenience of being able to just walk down to the local sporting goods store when we're out of lures, or we need a certain rod or reel or string or whatever, and we just purchase what we want. Well, we may not have that luxury, so you need to be getting extra lures, extra hooks, weights, fishing line, rods, reels, whatever it is. You need to make sure you have enough maybe to last you if you have to fish for a year or two. So just think about that stuff. You may have enough for right now, but what if you think about if you are literally fishing every day for your food? How long do you think those lures and stuff are going to last you? You're going to lose them. They're going to break. They're going to get lost. They're going to get hung up in the trees. What have you. So you need to have extra of that on hand. Also, do you know how to clean the fish? Do you have a way to sharpen your fillet knife? These are things you need to think about. Do you have extra fillet knives? What happens if one breaks or gets lost or stolen? You need to have extra tools and good quality tools. All right, you'll need to remember to keep stacking your security. I know security is starting to somewhat come available. But just remember that you're doing that. Make sure you're still stacking water. And I'm not just saying put back cases of water. That's great. But you need to have a way that's renewable. So you need to be looking into filters. You need to be looking into a rain catchment system. I think a lot of times this doomsday stuff gets glorified, that it's all about, this stuff. I think most people are going to end up losing their lives from malnutrition, and from getting sick from just being in poor conditions. from starvation and from dehydration. I think that's what's going to claim most lives, if you want my honest opinion on that. I want to go over some of my experiences over in Iraq. Everyone obviously doesn't know, but I did 2 tours to Iraq, and I kind of wanted to go over some of the things that turned out to be luxury items over there, stuff that we take for granted over here in the US. And so these are things to think about that you may want to prep and have a way to have these things, because it's going to add to the morale. So these are some things that were really big to us over there. So right when we crossed over, I was there for the invasion. I was there from 03 into 04. I'm sorry, scratch that. I was there I guess we left in 02. So we left in December. We ended up getting into Kuwait in January, and then we were there for a couple months, and then we crossed the border. I think it was March 20th is when we left Kuwait. But anyway, so once we got into Iraq, we went 30 days without a shower. And let me tell you guys, after 30 days, I don't care how many baby wipes you use or what, you stink. It is disgusting. And I can't tell you what a morale booster it was to be able to shower. We smelled so bad, the Iraqis were actually telling us to get into the river and bathe. And that's pretty bad. So where I'm going with this is make sure you have a way to shower. I know that sounds like maybe something that you think is always going to be there, but if the water gets shut off, how are you going to bathe? How are you going to shower? So think about that. I have a little shower system set up, and maybe I'll do a video on it. But I want to say it's like a 15-gallon jug that has a spigot on it, and I can leave that out during the day with water in it. And so the sun will heat it up. So then in the evening when I want to bathe, the water hopefully, will have some warmth to it. So think about how you're going to bathe if the poo were to hit the fan. So when we patrolled, obviously we were there for the invasion, so we didn't have all the luxuries. We were living in the dirt and fighting holes and stuff like that. So obviously we didn't have access to any electricity. And there were these kids that when we would patrol would bring us, they wouldn't bring them, but we would buy them. But for $1, we would get like 20 popsicles. And I'm sure that was a sight. You have 20, 30 Marines patrolling down the streets of Iraq with popsicles in their mouth. And those were the best popsicles that I think I've ever had in my life. And I don't know if it was just because I had gone 3 or 4 months without something like that or what, but they were amazing. So little things can be huge morale boosters. And so where I'm going with this is, like tea and coffee, those are things that I would put back because those can be huge morale boosters. Spices in your food, just having something sweet to eat, like candy. I would highly recommend, if you are addicted to alcohol or tobacco, to get rid of those things in your life, because it's not good for your health. And then, when the poo does hit the fan, that's something that you're going to be craving. So break yourselves of that now. That's what I would recommend. But if you can't, have extra of that, on hand, because it's a good bartering item. Even if you don't smoke or drink alcohol, it's good bartering items to have on hand. But those can be huge morale boosters. But yeah, it was one of the things we missed the most, or at least me personally, was obviously a hot meal, because we were eating MREs and stuff, but also just having a beverage that had ice in it, because everything we drank over there was however hot it was outside. So just, think of, maybe a way to be able to keep ice, because these little things are going to keep you going. I know they sound small, but when you've gone 6 months without, an iced cold beverage, it's when you finally get it, it's incredible. But anyway, so those are just some ideas. So have some coffee, have, some tea bags and stuff like that on hand, because those are going to be huge barter items and good for morale. Another thing you have to think about is, how are you going to deal with waste? So a lot of people don't even think about that. We're used to just going to the restroom and flushing all the waste down. Well, what happens if that isn't possible because the water's been shut off? So you need to think about how you're going to set up an area for that waste. Are you going to dig a deep hole? Are you going to set up, some sort of outhouse? Because you can't just be doing that all over the place. That's another thing. That's what's going to get people sick. So I know a lot of people maybe don't know this stuff, but whenever you're in a survival situation, you need to set up an area that's for hygiene only. You don't want to be doing hygiene where everyone's sleeping and cooking and all. You need to set up an area for cooking, an area where you use the restroom, an area where you brush your teeth and bathe. So you don't want all that stuff together. You need to set up those areas and separate them, because that's what's going to keep people from getting sick. And obviously you need a way to deal with that waste. So again, I'm coming back to it. That's why I think a lot of people are going to get sick and lose their lives from illness and stuff like that, because people don't realize, all this stuff needs to be in place. One other thing to think about that you can get are board games, card games. Those can be huge morale boosters. I forgot to mention that earlier. One of the last things I want to talk about is energy prices. So energy prices are going through the roof. I think oil is predicted to get up to $100 a barrel, or if not more. So that's going to increase your prices with gasoline. It's going to increase prices with everything, because everything gets moved by fossil fuels. So it's going to make your groceries more expensive, your everyday items, your electricity, all that stuff is going to keep going up because of this. So get your home heating oil now, get your propane, get all that stuff now, because it's just going to keep going up in price. So I guess some ways that I thought of that you could maybe save money this winter is instead of turning up the heat in the house, just put on some more clothing. Try and isolate the rooms that you heat. That way you're not using as much energy to heat your entire house. I know some of this, may be a pain in the butt, but, maybe have people double up in a room instead of heating the entire house and having everyone in separate rooms. Just heat the parts of the house that you need. Okay. I think the storm is already here. I think we're in the very beginning stages, and I think it's just going to get worse from here. Remember, keep paying your debt off, because that's going to free up money in the future. So your obligations, you want to try and get rid of as many of those as possible. That way, when all this inflation kicks in, you have more disposable income. JB always says this, but it's time to get small, meaning try and live off of half of your income, or go get another job. That way you don't want to be spending your entire paycheck. So if you can, get small now. That way, one, you can capitalize on deals that come in the future. But also, if you get yourself in a bad situation, then it's not going to be so bad if you have that extra income. If you lose your job and you're used to only living on half your income, then you're good. I think I'm going to end it there. I appreciate everyone being here. I do want to show this. Obviously, y'all don't know when my birthday is, but this 30th, I'm actually going to be 40 years old. And I wanted to show you all this. I thought this was really cool. A really close friend of mine got me this, and I thought it was really cool and neat, and I appreciate it. But I wanted to show you all this. But it's actually, it's from the New Zealand Mint, I guess. So this is the front of it here. And I guess this is an actual coin, because it says it's $2. And then, for those that don't know or figured it out, I'm a huge Star Wars fan and a huge Silver fan. So this is the Millennium Falcon. And if you don't know anything about Star Wars, I guess it won't mean anything to you, but I thought that was really neat. But that's the Millennium Falcon on there. So I appreciate that. Really neat gift. I was excited to get that. So two of my favorite things, Star Wars and silver. Couldn't be a cooler gift. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for everyone being here. Take care, and God bless.